Hello, guys. Let us continue our discussion about teaching and assessment of grammar. Now, let us proceed how students learn grammar or the learning process. Okay, this is also by Diane Larson Freeman. However, important and necessary it is for teachers to have a comprehensive knowledge of their subject matter. So definitely it's important for us teachers to have knowledge about subject matter, to have knowledge about the rules and grammar, because that's what we are going to teach. It is equally important for them to understand their students learning process, but we have to take note that it is also very important for us teachers to know how students learn, to know how our students learn. This understanding can be partly informed by insights from second language acquisition. That is why we are studying, we are trying to discuss various approaches, various theories about second language acquisition. Research concerning second language acquisition research concerning how students naturally develop their ability to interpret and produce grammatical utterances. There are three insights which we are going to talk about for today on how students learn grammar. The first one, learners do not learn structures one at a time. It is not a matter of accumulating structural entities. That's according to Rutherford, 1987. For example, it is not the case that learners master the definite article and when it is mastered, move on to the simple past tense. So you cannot give right away from studying articles, then you move right away to the discussion of past tense, to discussion of verbs. From their first encounter with a definite article, learners might master one of its pragmatic functions from their encounter of about what articles are, about what definite articles are, then you can talk about how they are being used. Example, to signal the uniqueness of the following noun. But even if they are able to do this appropriately, it is not likely that they will always produce definite article when needed because learners typically take a long time before they are able to do this consistently. It would take them time before they would be able to master a particular grammar rule. So take note about it. Learners do not learn structures one at a time. Thus, we have to take note that learning is a gradual process involving the mapping of form, meaning, and use as what we had discussed last time that in teaching grammar, we should talk about form, meaning, and use the paradigm or the figure that we talked about as about teaching grammar. Okay, so gradual process. It's a gradual process. You can first start with form, then you move on with meaning, and then talk about use. Structures do not spring forth in learners' interlanguage fully developed and error-free. You cannot um, right away ask the students to become error-free in terms of their grammar. Then, let's talk about backsliding. That's the second one. Even when learners appear to have mastered a particular structure, it, it appeared that they already mastered a particular structure. It is not uncommon to find backsliding. You can still encounter, you can still notice errors with the way they make use of grammar, occurring with the introduction of new forms to the learner's interlanguage. Let's take a look at this example. The learner who has finally mastered the third person singular marker on present tense verbs is likely to overgeneralize the rule and apply it to newly emerging modal verbs, thus producing errors such as she can speak Spanish. You take a look at this one. Students might do backsliding in this one, adding an S to the modal verb can. Teachers should not despair, but we should not be very much worried about it. Therefore, at regressive behavior on the part of their students, well-formedness is usually restored once the new additions have been incorporated and the system self organizes or restructures. But when we introduce the next rules, that's the time that students would be able to realize the mistakes that they commit, that they did, and they would be able to learn other grammar rules. And the next time, um, they would be able to self check and make use of the correct form or structure. Let's take a look at this. Second language learners rely on the knowledge and the experience they have. That's something that we should always consider as language teachers. Number three is that second language learners rely on the knowledge and the experience they have. So they make use of the knowledge that they have, their prior knowledge, and even their experience on how they use the second language. If they are beginners, they will rely on their first language or native language as a source of hypothesis. So they will rely on their L1 if they are beginners. That's what they would be using as they learn the second language. When they are more advanced, they will rely increasingly on the second language. But when we talk about the intermediate learners, the advanced learners, they would then make use of the second language, the L2, as they learn L2, as they improve their understanding of the second language. In understanding this, the teacher realizes that there is no need to teach everything about a structure to a group of students. Rather, the teacher can build upon what the students already know. Thus, as teachers, we should try to determine what the students already know. What do these students already know about the second language? It also follows that the challenging dimension for a given grammatical structure will shift from class to class. So there will be changes with the way you should be presenting your lessons in grammar depending on the nature, depending on the level of understanding of a class, of a student, on what you would be teaching, their L1 backgrounds and level of L2 proficiency. Successful teaching involves identifying the relevant challenge for a particular group of students. Thus, as teachers, we should try to determine the possible challenges that these students would encounter as they learn the language, their difficulties in learning a particular topic or that particular language that you would be teaching. Let's move on. Different learning processes are responsible for different aspects of language. So different learning processes are responsible for different aspects of learning. Indeed, given that language is as complicated as it is, one would not expect the learning process to be any simpler. So it's not really simple. It is clearly an oversimplification to treat all grammar learning as resulting from habit formation or from rule formation. Being aware that different learning processes contribute to second language acquisition suggests a need for the teaching process to respect the differences. We should take note of the differences as what we had mentioned a while ago, that we should consider the differences among our learners. How the nature of the language challenge and the learning process affect teaching decisions is the issue to which we turn next. Because that's the next topic, teaching grammar. We will be talking about more on how we are going to really teach grammar. For this, we talked about how students really learn grammar and the considerations that we should make as teachers. We talked about the differences. We talked about their experiences. Those are some of the considerations which we talked about today. That's it for today. Thank you, guys.